Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Royals, issue number 3. Now, this comic doesn't have a whole lot of action in it. Instead, what it has is a revelation. Okay, we knew for a long time that Black Bolt is responsible for killing his parents. All right, we always just assumed that it was, he screamed in the cradle and killed them, whatever, whatever. The story kind of changes in this one. The story changes big time in this one. It turns out that Maximus the Mad, well, both of them were actually experimented upon in the womb. All right, their parents were scientists, and there was a funny comment made. Somebody told them you shouldn't experiment on your kids, and they said, "Well, then which kids should we experiment on?" It's like, that's wow. Okay, so they kind of deserved it because they're a little psycho. So the mother, Black Bolt and Maximus's mother, is her inhuman ability was to filter out poisons and toxins at her own desire. So one of those that she filtered, and that's only for herself, all right? Which is a really weird thing, but okay. It's like, oh, I only want to be partially poisoned today. What the hell is that? So anyway, whatever. Not all the inhuman powers are necessarily useful. In this particular case, she was a scientist, so it did help. She filtered out Terrigen. She had Terrigen go into her body, and she filtered just a little bit to go in, not too much. And that was, Maximus was the second kid. So Black Bolt, Blackagar Boltagon, really weird wannabe Latin name. He became what he became. Well, here they decided that they didn't want subject number 2. That's what they were originally planning on calling Maximus. And they decided, no, he's going to have a pity party over himself. He's going to feel inferior. So they tried to focus the Terrigen on his brain specifically, and we know what now happened because of it. He can mind control people, but he's also really crazy. So, yeah, well, it turns out that crazy is more of a Machiavellian version. Basically, he has the ability to see what he should never have been able to see. He's able to see the future. On top of that, we know that his powers don't work on Black Bolt. But Black Bolt's powers will work on him, but in a different way. He's able to resonate those powers. So at one point, this is a really weird thing, and I don't want to go too far into it because it is kind of hard to understand. I don't want to get too much wrong, but Maximus works with the Kree in order to get them to do something, or assuming to attack the family and whatnot, to attack the planet, to take over. Ronan is supposed to actually come down and pass judgment on all of them, but he has to show an act of disobedience, an act of defiance against his own people first. So what basically happens is Black Bolt is there to protect, and he screams out Maximus's name. All right, so it was a weird kind of thing. He was fighting against Maximus, and then the Kree, a ship came up, and he screamed at the ship, but what he screamed was Maximus's name. Now, it resonated, and it was able to allow Maximus to register something from way, way into the future, and he's able to see certain events that transpire. So it's like, imagine a forced revelation of your and the future. Yeah, that's freaky weird. That's really freaky weird. So that being the case, that's how he was able to trick, and they show how he was able to trick everybody, including Black Bolt, into becoming the prisoner, looking like him and going to that prison colony, because we get to see how his power actually is able to affect Maximus in some regards. We get to see how he did that, and it was pretty interesting. Guys, I'm going to give this comic a B. This was good. It was fun. It was very in your head. Like you could read this a couple of times and get a different opinion on it each time that you read it. It was actually that good. Now, I would like to see a little bit more action in the next issue, but in the meantime, this did give something very interesting. Almost a retcon, kind of a retcon, essentially, but in the most subtle of ways. Anyway, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.